Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Kayla and I make videos about all things BPD. Now today I'm going to be sharing with you a skill that I came up with myself to help you manage your emotions, cognitions, and behaviors when you're highly distressed. Now the skill that I'm referring to is called the AAA skill. Yes, it's like a battery. And essentially what the skill does is it helps us to stay stable and not to overheat when we are in a crisis. The first A stands for assess. Now at this stage, you're really going to assess the degree of urgency. Now what I mean by this is looking, is this a situation that is potentially harmful to myself? Is this something that is life-threatening, or is this a trigger? If this is something that you could get hurt or that someone else can hurt you, you need to remove yourself immediately from the situation in which you find yourself in. Once we have determined whether or not this is a life-threatening situation, we then want to assess whether this is a trigger or a pet peeve. What I mean by this is this situation something that is activating core content, emotional past trauma within you, or is this just something that is irritating or a pet peeve? Based on your assessment, you're going to know the level of adrenaline and cortisol that is flowing through your body and know how to act or react based on the situation that is unfolding before you. The second A stands for adrenaline. Now it is at this stage that we want to manage our adrenaline and cortisol levels so that we can lower our physiological reaction to being in a crisis. At this stage, we can use the DBT tip skill, which stands for temperature. So using cold water, taking a really cold shower, putting an ice pack on your forehead or on your neck to change your body chemistry, using intense exercise, so doing push-ups, jumping jacks, going for sprints outside, or using things like paced breathing, exhaling longer than you're inhaling, and paired muscle relaxation, so making sure that you're contracting your muscles and then letting them go progressively throughout your body. So all of these different skills can help you to manage the levels of adrenaline and stress that's going on in your body. The point of the DBT distress tolerance skills is so that you're not making the moment worse than it is. So here we just want our baseline to go back or closer to normal, because usually it's at this stage in a crisis where pride tends to come in. What I mean by this is that you might think, well, no, I'm not going to walk away from this and I deserve to be heard. Okay, that's fine that you're feeling those things, and it's probably not the most effective thing. It's probably keeping you stuck in this loop. So if with time you're going to see that the more that you practice these adrenaline lowering skills, such as the DBT tip skills, it's going to get easier and easier and easier to walk away briefly from the conversations, to do a mini session of push-ups, or to go splash cold water on your face, so that you're not as physically stressed out by the situation. And so that way you can re-engage with it when you are more calm. Finally, the third A stands for accept. And this is probably the most difficult part in this progress of skills, because it is at this stage that we need to accept the situation. We need to ask ourselves, what is the level of control that I have over this situation? The answer is probably not that much most of the time, because unfortunately we can't control other people. No matter how hard we try, no matter how much we would like them to react a certain way, people just don't. They don't do what we want. We can't control them. The only thing that you can control is yourself. And so we need to be accepting of the fact that we cannot control others, that we might be in a situation that we don't like, but that we're here right now. And if we can accept it, it can help us move on from it a lot quicker than if we stay stuck in this cycle of wishing that things would be different, or hoping that someone is just going to see your perspective and validate you. If you can accept that that person might not be able to do that, then you can start providing yourself with your own validation, with your own understanding, with your own self-compassion. And that makes it really easy to then move on. I don't want to say really easy. That was not the right use of words. A lot easier, I should say, to be okay with the situation and to not feel as distressed as you would when you are stuck in this pattern of wishing for a different outcome. And at the end of this process, it can be really useful to then go back and reassess the situation as a whole. So you want to go back and look at it from a state of mind that's much calmer, to see what are things that you could have done differently, what are different strategies that you could have implemented throughout the process to make it easier. So just to recap what I was saying, the AAA skill, the first one being assess. We want to assess the level of threat. This is really important because if you are in a life-damaging situation, you don't want to then move on to the second A, which is lowering your adrenaline, because adrenaline is actually going to allow you to run away and to get yourself to a place that's safe. So we want to assess the degree of severity of the situation that we're in, and whether or not these are triggers that are activating those core contents within us, because in the past, maybe we have information that when those were activated, what are things that helped. The second thing, the second A, is for adrenaline. So we want to manage our physiological reactions to being in a crisis. So using BPD tip skills, temperature, exercise, paced breathing, and paired muscle relaxation. And then we want to move on to the third A, which is accept. So accepting the level of control that we have on the situation, accepting that we're here so that we can start providing ourselves with our own validation, our own understanding, and our own sense of healing and righteousness. Just quickly before wrapping up this video, I thought it would be useful to run through an example together. So imagine that you're scrolling your phone and then you see a story that one of your friends posted on Instagram or Snapchat of your whole group of friends hanging out together without you. If we run through the AAA skill, the first one would be to assess. So is this a life-threatening situation? The answer is no, but at the same time, you might realize that this is triggering some core content patterns within yourself, so a fear of abandonment or feelings of inadequacy. The second A for adrenaline, so is your adrenaline levels, are they up and active? The answer is yes, so you then might want to do one of the tip skills, so maybe going to take a really cold shower, going for a run, or doing something just to lower your physiological reaction to the stress that you're experiencing. And then the third would be to accept. So in this situation, for example, you can't change the fact that they're all together. This is already happening. They made plans without you, and it really sucks. Accepting does not mean being okay with it. You're allowed to be angry, you're allowed to be sad, you're allowed to experience all of those things. And at the same time, we want to realize that the situation is what it is. You can't change it. And so hanging out in those feelings of anger for hours on end is not serving you, because it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the fact that that happened. And so we want to accept what we can. And then we also want to assess, well, what are things that would be effective for me to do? So you can accept that you can't change the situation. You can also assess that it might be beneficial for you to have a calm conversation with your friends, just asking, what was the thought process? What happened? Just to confirm, because, and always stating it in I statement. So I perceived this, or I was upset by this, and I was thinking that, you guys don't care about me, and all of those things, just to run ideas through with them. So for that situation, that would be a way to use this crisis management tool. And I hope that that was helpful. The main thing that you're learning with this skill, or any other skills that I'm teaching you on my channel, or that you're learning through books and your own therapy, is that it takes a lot of practice. The skills, when you first start implementing them at the start, they will not work that well. Okay, there's gonna be a lot of times where you try them and they fail miserably, and that's okay. That's part of the process. And the more we practice, the more effective and good we can get at using them, and the more that you're going to see that they do work. You just need time and practice. Let me know what you thought about this skill in the comments down below, and let me know what other distress tolerance skills that you use to help you when you are in a crisis. On that note, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today, and I will see you next time for another episode of On the Line.